The Vought SB2U Vindicator was an American carrier-based dive bomber developed for the U.S. Navy in the 1930s, notable as the first monoplane in this role. It had foldable wings for carry storage and was typically powered by a Pratt & Whitney R-1535 twin Wasp Jr. radial engine, giving it a top speed of around 243 miles per hour. It carried a crew of 2, the pilot and gunner, and could carry up to 1,000 pounds of bombs, along with machine guns. While somewhat obsolete by the time the U.S. entered World War II, Vindicators saw combat most famously in the Marine Corps at the Battle of Midway in June 1942. Though they suffered heavy losses, one pilot, Captain Richard E. Fleming, earned a posthumous Medal of Honor for his actions in the Vindicator. The type was also used by the French Navy as the B-156F and the British Royal Navy as the Chesapeake. By 1943, most Vindicators were relegated to training duties, replaced by the more modern aircraft like the Douglas SB2U.
Marines, Coast Guard, all take their place. Not just a job, it's who they are. Our freedom shield, near and far.
Hey there, how y'all folks doing this fine day? It's Gator here at the Cable Company. I'm so glad you stopped in to see me today. Today we're going over the Vought SB2U Vindicator. It is an American carrier-based dive bomber developed for the United States Navy in 1930, the first monoplane in this role. Vindicators still remain in service at the time of the Battle of Midway, but by 1943 all had been withdrawn to training units. It was known as the Chesapeake in the Royal Navy service. In 1934, the United States Navy issued a requirement for a new scout bomber for carrier use and received proposals from 6 manufacturers. The specification was issued in 2 parts, one for the monoplane and one for the biplane. Vought submitted designs in both categories, which would become the SB2U1 and the SB3U1, respectively. The biplane was considered alongside the monoplane design as a hedge against the U.S. Navy's reluctance to pursue the modern configuration. The general information type is a dive bomber, national origin, the United States, manufacturer of Vought. Primary users, the United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, the French Navy, and the Royal Navy. The number that were built were 260. History, introduction date was 1937. First flight was on January 4th, 1936. It retired in 1945. The SB2U1 was a conventional low-wing monoplane configuration with a tractable conventional tilt-wheel landing gear. The pilot and tail gunner being seated in the tandem under a long greenhouse-style canopy. The fuselage was of steel tube construction, covered with aluminum panels, from the nose to the rear cockpit with a fabric-covered rear fuselage, while the folding cantilever wing was of all-metal construction. A Pratt & Whitney R1535 twin-wash Junior radial engine drove a two-blade constant-speed propeller, which was intended to act as a dive brake during a dive bombing attack. The use of the propeller braking was not entirely successful, and in practice, U.S. Navy Vindicators lowered the aircraft's undercarriage to act as a speed brake and dive at shallower angles. A single 1,000-pound bomb could be carried on a swinging trapeze to allow it to clear the propeller in a steep dive, while further bombs could be carried under the wings to give a maximum bomb load of 1,500 pounds. SB2U was evaluated against the XSBA-1, Curtis XSBC-3, Great Lakes XB2G-1, the Grumman XSBF-1, and the Northrop XBT-1. And all but the Great Lakes and the Grumman missions were ordered into production. Designated an SB2U-1, one prototype was ordered on the 15th October 1934 and was delivered on the 15th April 1936. Accepted for operational evaluations on the 2nd of July 1936, the prototype, the SB2U-1, the BUN 09725, crashed on the 20th of August 1936. Its successful completion of trials led to further orders, with 56 SB2U-1s ordered on the 26th of October 1936, and a further 58 of a slightly modified version, the SB2U-2, on the 6th of October 1938. The SB2U-3 was a more heavily modified version, intended as a long-range scout bomber, capable of being fitted with a conventional wheeled undercarriage for operations from aircraft carriers or land air bases, or with floats. To give the required increased range, the fuselage fuel tank fitted to the SB2U-1 and the 2 was supplemented by integral wing tanks. While the aircraft tail had an increased span, the prototype SB2U-3, converted from the last SB2U-1, flew in February 1939, and after testing as both a land plane and a float plane, 57 SB2U-3s were ordered on 25th September 1939, mainly for the U.S. Marine Corps. The SB2U is prominently featured in the 1941 film Dive Bomber. There were 260 examples of all Vindicator variants produced, and a single surviving SB2U-2 is preserved at the National Naval Aviation Museum at Knox, Pensacola, Florida. Well, there you go. There you have it. There's a little history on this magnificent aircraft. You have any stories, you know anything about it, put it in the comments. We'd love to hear the comments. Don't waste this platform. If you got the t-shirt, wear it, okay? Give us what you know about this aircraft. All right, much love to you guys. Live long and prosper. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.